Hello. I am here getting ready for my first Zoom podcast. Right, I am a professional. Look at my notebook. Oh, that's not wobbly. Oh, what's on that?
It's a real. What the fudge? Oh my goodness.
Spanners in the works, and that's what that is about. Anywho, I'm a professional, so I'm going to continue prepping. I'm quite nervous as well, actually. This is the first time I'm talking to a real person on a podcast that I'm creating. This person has given up their time to spend it having a conversation with me, and I feel blessed, but also nervous.
Hello?
Hello.
So you are real?
Yes. I mean, I'm not really too sure what gave me the impression that I wasn't.
There's a common scam, maybe it's less in the UK, going around where people use podcasts, and there's a few signs. One is that they ask you to use another software that you would normally use, and then they actually get full control over your Instagram or your Facebook account.
So it's like a hack thing.
It's a hack thing, and a lot of people have completely lost all their Instagram followers. They end up being a pirated account that then hassles all their friends.
Well, yeah, that doesn't sound too fun. But no, not me, just a regular girl.
Okay. I just, because when I looked at, I inquired and I looked at your Instagram, and there's just not, that much interaction on your Instagram. It could have been fake.
Yeah, I deleted it.
And restarted it.
Basically, yeah.
How come?
Because previously, the way I'd utilised social media, and I guess who I was at the time as well, didn't feel like who I am now and who I was trying to become in a growth point of view. So I kind of wanted to just start again. Previously, I would post quite frequently, and there wasn't really any substance behind that. It was more just like, oh, this is pretty, let's take a photo of that, which I've got nothing against. But for me, I wanted it to be more of a, I guess I kind of look at social media more as it can be like art a little bit. So I wanted to kind of come from that angle a little bit more.
I was confused because I saw that you work in television. I mean, did you work in television?
Yes, I'm in post-production.
Yeah, I just got all baffled, and literally a close friend got so burned by doing a podcast that it made me cautious, and so. So
what happened? They just hacked all that information, and
what they do is they often the there's only one difference is they contact you, they want you to be on their podcast, and then they even sometimes offer to pay you, make it sound like it's a high profile.
I mean, I know people steal other people's social media accounts and everything. I do hear quite a lot of that, and to be fair, I do get quite fearful of scammers and whatnot.
I was also surprised that you were up at 3 a.m. because I thought, well, I guess you are up at 3 a.m. because either that or you're in India, because there are a lot of them, they run out of India, a lot of the scams.
No, so this is like the first step in recording podcasting that I'm actually doing, and it's like going to be tangible. I previously recorded 3 episodes, but I did it under a different name, and I started in one direction, and then I decided to rebrand it into something else. I only really released them at the beginning of the year, and a lot of that was because of fear and just having the confidence to like kind of put my vulnerabilities out there. So then I went through a rebranding process, and I've been like planning all of this basically for the past few months. But where I've been putting in so much work into it, I've not really been having any kind of results because I've not actually sat down and spoken to anyone yet. I guess I was just really nervous, and there was just all these different things, and then I started overthinking, so I just couldn't sleep basically.
Yeah. That was like a red flag. I was like, whoa. Because I looked it up, and it would have been, I think, 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. UK time, and I was like, if you work in post, I would be like that's surprised.
Yeah, didn't make it to sleep until about 4 actually. So
Okay.
yeah, and I was up at like 8 o'clock this morning working. I got a bit jarred by the conversation, and it didn't quite go as smoothly as I hoped it to. So I think that paired with then having the conversation, it did just all jar me a little bit. So I think I would feel quite comfortable just having a little chat, and then just in regards to the software that I was talking about. So it's called Riverside, and
I looked it up.
Oh, you did? Okay, so it's just it's focused on podcasting. So what they would basically do is we'd have this setup, but it would like record it all, and then it would upload, and it would download the different tracks for me. So then I could then edit it and pop it out. So it's just I can send you a bit of information on it if you like. I've signed up to it. It's a monthly thing that I pay for.
Yeah, don't worry. No, I looked it up and I think it's great. I think I did a podcast with that exact software once before, so
wonderful.
It's not a problem. Yeah, don't worry about it. Now that I know that it's you,
it's pretty scary to be fair. I tried to switch off from it a little bit, but it's the world actually like taking a look at the world around me and seeing what it actually is. It's pretty scary stuff. So don't blame you really.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I also think here we've got the American election. It's created a kind of social culture.
So in regards to the podcast, so the podcast that I want to create it's called When I Grow Up. It used to be called C'est la vie. I kind of stepped out of my bubble a little while ago and just kind of felt really overwhelmed by everything. I felt like I was completely ignorant to the world around me. I didn't really get it or care to get it either, because it just felt like a bunch of bullshit that I didn't really want to be part of. But I realised actually that even though my little bubble was quite comfortable, I completely lost touch with everything, because I wasn't able to look in on myself and see the reality and also be my authentic self. So that's why I decided to kind of start the podcast. I thought it'd be good to kind of step me out of my comfort zone to help me learn. My heart tends to be on my sleeve. I tend to take things as face value. I don't really sit there and kind of check and research and I don't have that kind of thing about me. So I figured this will kind of give me a platform to do that, and also a bit more of a motivation to do that, to look in on myself, re-look at the footage and be like, oh, okay, look at myself from a different angle sort of thing. And interacting with people I always find quite difficult sometimes, so it's good for that as well. And so it's about self-development, because I just think a lot of people don't really see what's out there. A lot of people are capped in their conditioning. And I think this is kind of why I was intrigued by the whole hypnosis route as well, and how those two things can connect, because I feel I actually went to do hypnotherapy back in the day quite a while and I know this is something that you looked into as well, as a form of dealing with trauma and whatnot. But I do kind of think that generally what I'm doing in the day-to-day is a light form of hypnosis, because I'm just trying to kind of build on my habits and change them and kind of redirect them. So I just think there's so much crossover there, and I think there's if people were able to maybe look at it from more of your point of view and from your knowledge, it might really help people have a different perspective on things.
I mean, I should explain, I have kind of multiple identities, right? I work as a filmmaker, I'm a hypnotist, but what I think I do, and what people seem to be interested in, is, I should explain that I was a reluctant hypnotist, meaning I was not somebody, a lot of people, they think that's what I want to be, like a hypnotist who does hypnosis, but I never did. It was not an interest of mine. I did a documentary that was very traumatizing, and to the point where I couldn't sleep and I had anxiety, and then I just happened to sort of stumble on hypnosis, and it instantly cured me. And after that, I was like, I think there's a lot more to reality, or there's a lot more out there about a lot of things that I don't know. It may be exactly along your theme, that there's a lot, once you step outside your comfort zone, you discover a bunch of things. And then when I first trained in hypnosis, because I had a journalistic background, I was like, there's a big story here because, for example, with trauma, hypnosis can resolve trauma very, very quickly. And often people are trucked off to psychologists where they spend 2 or 3 years fumbling around with their traumas and they never resolve them. But hypnosis can often do it in half an hour, 45 minutes with somebody who knows what they're doing. So then I realized there's kind of a scandal there, and that actually has become a public scandal in America where they found out the Army knew, the U.S. military knew that there were fast de-traumatization methods available, but they still chose the old 3 years because that's the industry model with psychologists to try to help people with trauma. Anyways, what I think in terms of podcast, what might make an interesting podcast, I originally wanted to do a podcast called Game Changers, but game-changing concepts that are really interesting that people don't know about. So one of them is this thing called the hypnotic bar. I think it really applies to the UK because we think of the UK as a place that has a drinking problem. Like everybody's like, drunk there. So much drinking. I think this really has a drinking. I mean, there was some statistic that said that the majority of UK residents qualify as alcoholics. Just because, the drink after going to the pub is such a cultural institution, and
it really is.
So I do a thing called the hypnotic bar, where it sounds like it's not believable, but it's absolutely real, where you hypnotize people to be drunk.
No way.
And yeah, I can send videos. People, absolutely real. Like so. It just requires that they be able to achieve deep trance, which about a quarter or a third of people can do fairly easily. And those people can be made drunk. And I shot a bunch of videos where you have a group of people that are hypnotized to be drunk together. And they're being given shot glasses with water, but they're hypnotized to believe they're drinking tequila.
See, like it's fascinating, isn't it? Because the mind is just so powerful, and I think it gets so dulled down by everyday life and all the different things that are out there, and like the dopamine and the addiction and all of it. I massively believe there's just so much information that's missing from people's lives, and there isn't really enough unless people really go digging for it. It's some of it's quite hard to come by, which is sad because. Yeah, because of this.
Yeah, and people just believe what they believe, and they're and I think I was this way too, where I was skeptical about Reiki. I was skeptical even about yoga. Yoga is such a fantastic healing modality. I could probably count the number of people I know who complain about knee. I used to have knee problems, and then I did yoga, and it just fixed my knee problems. And since then, I have friends, acquaintances, like guys who are just a little bit overweight will tend to have knee problems, and they get more and more serious. Either you can go and have knee surgery and have your kneecaps replaced, or you can do yoga. And a lot of people will choose surgery, which is like a life of never being able to walk properly.
It's like the quick, it's the quick thing though, isn't it? You live in a fast-paced world where everything's like instant. So. And
we have false belief that somehow it'll be okay, or there's somebody looking after. Like, in fact, what I've seen is like I have a neighbor who had this knee surgery, and he's just steadily become disabled. And he's hoping that they'll find a fake knee for him that will eventually be okay, but probably not. No. So like why? You can see how these outcomes are.
And it's the comfort zone, isn't it, as well? Like I think a lot of people stay in their comfort zones and then stepping out of that. Yeah. And like this is as well, because I feel like I'm experiencing it firsthand now, which I'm sure everyone in the world does. But I kind of, as I'm experiencing it, I'm just a bit like, are people aware of this? Like, is this, like, do people know this? Do people actually realise how difficult this is, and how like just the dynamics of it all and how it like varies? Do people actually know this, and is there anyone actually sitting there explaining to people what's going on? Because for me, I didn't think so. I felt like I just jumped in the deep end, just found myself with all this crazy weirdness of the world around me, and yeah, so I think picking at that or like pulling that apart a little bit would be quite interesting.
It might be interesting to say, there's these people that say like, everything, we're living in an illusion, and it might be interesting to take apart the illusion. For example, that there's this illusion that alcohol makes you feel good. When I do the hypnotic bar, what's interesting about it is I used to sort of break it down for people. I'd say, well, what does alcohol do for people? So alcohol makes people relax. Well, hypnosis is a really, really powerful way to relax people. You can do it in about 30 seconds. You'll get really relaxed. 2, people drink to forget because they have their stresses and worries. So they have a few drinks and they forget what they are. Well, you can hypnotize people and they can actually forget their own name.
Yeah. To be fair, I've actually been hypnotized once before, so.
And what did they say, by the way? Did they say that you were a good hypnotic subject?
I can't really remember. It was quite a while ago. I can't really remember exactly what they said, but I just remember feeling like I was there and I was hearing it, and it was like I knew I had the choice to not do it, but for some reason I did. And it did kind of lead me onto a point when I was like making notes about like how, like, I feel like hypnosis just gives us permission. Like with the alcohol, for example, like I know that I love a drink, but again, it's a I've got comfortable experiencing that, and that was the thing that I ended up conditioning myself to believing I was having fun and blah blah blah. But I actually have more fun when I'm not drinking, and I don't feel rubbish in the morning.
There's an interesting study. I'm trying to actually track it down, but I think there's a famous study where a bunch of some anthropologists took a bunch of rum to Africa and they brought it to an uncontacted tribe, and they gave them rum. And what was funny was that they all became sad and melancholy. None of them had any fun, and the theory was that in the absence of the social construction, so because let's say in the UK we associate drinking with chatting at the pub, laughing with your friends, having fun. The self-hypnosis is drinking is fun and lets you forget and does all these things. But that's actually just hypnosis. Yeah. Alcohol actually makes you sad and melancholy.
It's so true. It's a depressant, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it's mad.
So, what's my point here? My point is that there's a question as to the kind of jolly perception of alcohol being false. That it's not. That's actually hypnosis. That's why the hypnotic bar is intriguing to people, because we demonstrate that you could easily do it in a different way. The other thing, so I can give you about 5 or 6 of these things. There's other things called hypnotic laughter. I can hypnotize people to laugh.
Honestly, I watched some of your videos on that, and it just made me so happy. I was doing it at the gym though, so I was quite like, I wasn't being as loud as I probably would have wanted to be, but yeah, it was really, really nice. I could see how that would have a good impact.
Good. Okay, so the third thing is a bit heavier, but if I explain it well, it's really, really interesting. So this study that we did in Prague, so I'm part of this study. So I don't know if you know this, it sounds kind of like crazy, but basically you put people in a particular trance within about 2 minutes. It depends on the person, but you can, and they're okay with it. You obviously have to get consent, and they have to feel safe. You can walk them into a very, very powerful orgasm, which is like almost comically absurd, because they could be in an office, they could be anywhere, and it would happen. So this is kind of the superficial side of the story. So my theory, and I'm making a documentary about this right now, is that none of us choose our sexual programs, meaning as we grow up, there is science to suggest that we actually dream sexually. And those dreams are used by the unconscious to sort of form a sexual identity. And it might be affected by, you have people in your environment that you might find attractive or interesting. And then you sleep when you sleep, you actually experience arousal without remembering it about the people that you might be attracted to. So to make a long story short, we don't choose our sexual programming. It's kind of chosen for us.
Hello, I am here. So it wasn't a scam. It generally was just a guy who was a bit sceptical because of various different factors, and had a nice long chat to hear of just myself and what I was saying, so can utilise that. So we're gonna meet in like maybe 10 days or so, not meet, have a Zoom in like 10 days or so. So it matters to me. I feel like maybe it shouldn't, but it does. So I was recording on this camera and it shut off, and that is very, very irritating. There must be some kind of setting. It happened in a few of my previous podcasts, so I'm gonna figure that out. So good to help teething problems, and I am actually going to be recording using all my own equipment on my second podcast. This was technically my first, that would technically be my first, so yeah, I feel really happy. It was the first one, done, sorted. Really, really lovely guy, wealth of knowledge. I was also really stressing about the structure of how it would look and how I line it up. I think it doesn't need to be that deep. We're just having a conversation. And I did do a bit of research, but again, I felt like I could have done more research, but I don't think that's me. I think I like to just go and talk to someone and just get to know them and do it that way. I think that feels more authentic. So, yeah, I feel quite happy actually. Are you celebrating too, Millie? Millie's celebrating with me as well. Are you celebrating? Stop looking me in my face. Are we celebrating? Oh, hello. Are we celebrating? Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. You and I. Just the two of us. I like you, my puppy friend, just the two of us, till the end. So, that's where we're at, isn't it? Are your foot okay there? That's where we're at. Look how she sits. She sits like a proper, like, human. Are you a little human? Hello, I am human. Hello, I'm a human puppy. Hello. Yeah, as well, it would be nice to have better lighting. This lighting is very yellow. And I think, yeah, do you agree with me? Huh? Do you agree? You could have better lighting in the footage, yeah? You're there? Ah, okay. Yeah, no licks. What do you want? Okay, so there we go. So, journey of podcasting. This is how it's going.